Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have Prince Philip's passing. Last year in April of 2021, Prince Philip, the husband to Queen Elizabeth II, passed away, and it is said that The Simpsons might have predicted his death right down to the day. In season 7, episode 3, Home Sweet Home Diddly Dum Doodly, the Simpsons neighbors, the Flanders, temporarily take the children in after a lice outbreak. Apparently they're all driving in a car on the way to church, and baby Maggie suddenly just turns her head to Bart and Lisa and says, quote, "Prince Philip will die on April 9th, 2021. Okay, it's probably the most on-the-nose prediction, and all I can say is, how? Apparently the line has since been replaced in recent versions, but it is said that this is actually what was said in the original broadcast, which happened in 1995, 26 years before his actual passing. It truly is one of those chilling Simpsons predictions moments. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Queen's passing. There are many viral TikToks that have been going around since the Queen's passing that suggest that The Simpsons actually predicted her death. The episode in question is season 15, episode 4, The Regina Monologues, which we will be talking about a few more times today. But to start off with, we have this recent rumor. The TikToks have been edited with certain footage in a way that suggests that this episode did in fact predict the Queen's death, but when we watch the entire episode, that is likely not the case at all. The episode doesn't show the way in which the Queen passed, and also, she doesn't even die in the episode. While this was a very clever trick to get a viral TikTok video, it looks like this is one time when we've all been bamboozled, and the writers didn't quite predict our reality. In our number 8 spot today, we have the accident. Okay, so we just talked a little bit about the Regina Monologues episode, but that is not where the predictions end for this one. In the episode, the Simpson family rents a Mini Cooper and they start driving around London. Marge is shocked at how well everything is going on their first trip to England, but of course that can only last for so long. They get stuck on a roundabout, which is honestly a universal experience. I mean, they're so confusing when you're not used to them. Why do they even exist? And the family starts to drive in circles for hours. Homer finally decides that enough is enough and decides to break out of the roundabout. When he does this, however, he plows straight through the gates of Buckingham Palace and he slams into Queen Elizabeth II's horse-drawn carriage. Now, we know this didn't happen in real life, but this could be a prediction that something similar might happen in real life. Probably not as a result of a roundabout, but people try to do strange things when it comes to protected places. People try to sneak into Buckingham Palace all the time. It wouldn't necessarily be surprising to see something like this happen, but hopefully this is just a premise that will stay in the animated show where it truly does belong. In our number 7 spot today, we have standing trial. After this horse-drawn carriage accident, Homer has no idea who he just knocked down and he starts trying to sort of brush the whole thing off. Of course, this isn't accepted and immediately the Scots guardsmen start beating him to a pulp. After this, however, Homer is put on trial for causing harm to the Queen as well as for wrecking her carriage. On trial, Homer calls the Queen an imposter because her luggage has the inscription HRH. Of course, meant to mean Her Royal Highness, Homer suggests that this is actually short for Henrietta R. Hippo. Can totally see how he got there. Rather than believing this is a prediction that the Queen is really Henrietta Hippo, some people believe that this is just a grim prediction for a monarch's future. Of course, there are plenty of safety protocols put in place, but some are worried that this might mean that this episode might be predicting that we will see someone stand trial in the future for trying to harm the head of state. Whether or not you enjoy the royal family, it's safe to say that most people hope that they don't get harmed, either intentionally or otherwise, so hopefully this is one prediction that just does not come true. In our number 6 spot today, we have the sentencing. For the final prediction that comes with this whirlwind of an episode, after Homer accuses the Queen of being Henrietta R. Hippo, she is of course outraged and she sentences him to being imprisoned in the Tower of London, later to be executed by beheading, and to have his head placed on a spike. In the end, the Queen does pardon Homer, but some have suggested that this might be a prediction that we might see some old historical and horrifying royal practices come back in the future. We'll talk about a similar kind of prediction with another royal family member later in this list, but some people believe that these sort of gruesome forms of capital punishment might end up coming back. To end off this episode, the Queen only agrees to pardon Homer on the condition that the Simpson family take Madonna with them when they left. I don't think that part is any kind of real prediction, I just wanted to include it because it's pretty funny. In our number 5 spot today, we have royal spying. In an episode of The The Simpsons, the now King Charles III, along with his late mother, Queen Elizabeth II, can be seen watching over Springfield. They're doing this through surveillance cameras that have been planted all over the town. Some people have suggested that this perhaps is a prediction that could already be happening or might be something that our future holds. It's safe to say that the UK already does have its fair share of CCTV cameras, which for many reasons is great, but of course people worry about being spied on, which is entirely fair. I don't necessarily think that the royal family just sits around spying on everyone, but there is definitely potential that they, or people working from them, know more than anyone would like to know, making the royal family sound like the CIA, but who knows? The Simpsons have definitely predicted stranger things. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Tyrant. This is one prediction that The Simpsons made that, while hopefully unlikely, we'll definitely just have to wait and see to find out. In The Simpsons, while Prince Harry doesn't make a lot of appearances, they do include him in the show, of course, and they have quite a grim prediction for his future self. They suggest that perhaps in the future Prince Harry has risen to power. It's not so bad. Prince Harry is certainly one of the more likable members of the royal family. I know for some of you that's a hot take, but regardless, although Harry is not in line for the throne and has almost mostly renounced his royalty, he is still part of the family, and again, stranger things have happened. Once in power, however, things go awry and Harry proves to be an entirely different person than anyone would have expected. In The Simpsons, once in power, Harry becomes a ruthless tyrant who is so bad that he reinstates capital punishment, but this time he's taking a tip from his ancestors. It's not just regular modern day capital punishment that we see now, it is of course in royal family fashion, done in the form of beheadings. In our number 3 spot today, we have Out of Control. This is another Simpsons prediction that, depending on how you look at it, could be one that you could say did come true. When the Simpsons family went to England, most of the newspapers in the episode showed that they were reporting on the trial of Homer for harming the Queen. Of course, that's like one of the central focuses of the episode, so it makes a lot of sense, but there is one paper that has a different headline. In the episode, it's actually the Daily Mail, and they have the headline, quote, "Bart and Prince Harry out of control," and it shows a picture of the two outside of a bar. Now, I'm not saying that Prince Harry went on a pub crawl and got messy with Bart Simpson, but there are people who didn't enjoy how Prince Harry has chosen to live his life. We all have haters, no worries Prince Harry, but many people would suggest that his behavior is, quote, out of control. I personally disagree, but I know not everyone does. It's safe to say that Prince Harry likely won't be seen outside of any bar on a newspaper cover anytime soon, but who am I to say for sure? In our number 2 spot today, we have King Henry VIII. Less of a prediction for the future, considering this episode was strictly about historical figures. Season 15, episode 11, Margical History Tour, takes us back in time and shows us a Simpsons version of the life of King Henry VIII. Known for being quite a terrible person and an absolutely horrible husband, the episode, while of course taking quite a few liberties, really is surprisingly accurate for a comedy animation show. The king was married 6 times, and in the episode he beheads quite a few of his wives. In reality it was only 2, but still 2 is more than enough for us in the future to add a couple extra in for dramatic effect. While this episode is just a fun premise for a silly episode, some worry that this might be a prediction for how the royal family might fall back into some old practices. Queen Elizabeth II was incredibly loved by those who support the monarchy, and it's safe to say that her successor does not have the same kind of adoration. This makes people worried that things might end up in a more grim place than how the Queen left them. In our number 1 spot today, we have Prince Christian. A departure from the British royal family, this young prince made a debut in the animated show. Prince Christian of Denmark, who is now 16, is 12 years old in the episode. The Simpsons family travels to Denmark for a medical treatment for Grandpa, and it is here that Lisa meets the man of her dreams, the skateboarding prince. The episode skips to the future and it shows Lisa and the prince getting married and waving from their balcony. Of course, no one thinks that this very real prince is going to marry the very fictional Lisa Simpson, but some believe that perhaps this might be a prediction for the future of the prince's love life. Normally, royal marriages are strategic, but it's possible, similar to Prince Harry, that Prince Christian might just meet his future love in a more non-traditional fashion. The prince is obviously still quite young, so only time will tell with this one.
Okay, starting us off, in at number 10, we have teleportation.
I take it from that little impressed noise that you are interested in purchasing that matter transporter, sir.
The Simpsons created this scene that took place at a garage sale, and what was up for sale was this teleporting machine. This episode seemed way into the future because the machine was being sold for just $2, as if it was like just a normal item.
$2 and it only transports matter? I'll give you 35 cents.
Sold.
Homer Simpson bought it. He was kind of unsure about it, but he bought it and he took it home to use. He put one of the devices on the bottom of his stairs and he put the other device on the top of his stairs, and that's what he used the machine for. So now he never has to use the stairs again. I'm pretty sure there are much better ways to use a teleporting machine. What would you guys use a teleporting machine for? Let me know in the comment section below. And please give me better ideas than Homer Simpson. Next up, number 9, I think it would be awesome in 2020 to have our first ever female president of America.
Excellent question. Yes, I am proud to be America's first straight female president. Helen?
Wasn't I wearing a hat?
Yes, you were.
Presidency has been around since 1789, and for hundreds of years, there just never was a female president. I don't know why. I think it's time to change that. Hillary Clinton was very close to being the first ever female president of America. Well, we should see a higher number of females running for presidency in 2020. I know President Donald Trump would be devastated to be beaten by a female, but I think it's time for change. Imagine Oprah running. I think she would beat him for sure. Others who would probably beat Trump is Ellen DeGeneres, Michelle Obama, Taylor Swift, Beyonce. Let's add her onto this list. She'd be the best singing president of all time. And actually, you know what? Thinking about it, I can probably list so many people that would be awesome presidents in 2020. Who do you guys think should be the next American president, and list females only? And if it had to be a male who's going to be the next president, I would vote for Morgan Freeman, and let's just hope he gives speeches like very often, because I would just listen to him, and whatever he said, I would just say yes. And I would listen to the president until I fell asleep at night, like every single night. Is that a little creepy? I think so. So you know what? Let's move on. Let's move on to number 8. From teleporting to a female president, now to time traveling to the past, because why not? How sick would that be? I don't even know where I would go.
I've gone back to the time when dinosaurs weren't just confined to zoos.
I would probably go back in time to confirm a few things. Maybe find out who the first flat earther was. I would want to witness the first moon landing, maybe take a look at some dinosaurs, maybe find out what actually wiped them out. And I would also time travel to find out what came first, the chicken or the egg, because that is a pretty important thing to figure out. Number 7, hovering of vehicles. Okay, who knows, this one can actually be reality soon. Technology is advancing so much, so why not? How awesome would this be? You don't have to worry about traffic ever again. You can just fly over vehicles. It won't be scary to drive in the wintertime because you don't have to worry about slipping on ice. Concepts for flying cars have already started. It seems very scary, but flying in airplanes used to be terrifying, but now it's a pretty normal thing. At number 6, we have commercial jetpacks. Jetpacks for everyone. Jetpack for you, jetpack for you, jetpack for Oprah. The Simpsons had an episode where Chief Officer Wiggum became the Sky Police. Imagine this.
I'm not the police anymore. I'm the Sky Police. Okay. I think I got it.
I think this would be so cool. I would never be late for work ever again. I could just jetpack to the studio. I mean, jetpacks have been around, but not for commercial use. Imagine it being sold at Walmart.
With this, the only fully functional jetpack in the world.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Moving into number 5, imagine magic is real. Well, take a look at this.
Gold. Sweet gold. Why didn't you ever tell us you could do magic?
Now, this would either be awesome or a really bad thing, a horrible idea. You wouldn't want magic to be in the wrong hands. Maybe if we can have like some sort of quality control over magic, it would be so amazing to have. We could magically create food for countries that doesn't have enough food, we can create water, and we can even cure people. With magic, there's just an endless amount of things that we can do. Imagine we only had so much magic in the world. I wonder how we would vote and what we would use the magic for. Like what if we had like only like 100 spells and that's it? I don't know what the most important thing is right now with trying to fix the world. This has me thinking way too much, so you know what, let's move on to something else. Something like cloning. Well, cloning comes up at number 4. Imagine being able to make 2 of yourselves. Chores would be done so much faster, and if you want days off of work, you could just send your clone into work. Or maybe you can have like 10 jobs so you can bring in more money. Because the economy these days, it just sucks. So cloning people would either be the best thing or the worst idea ever. But you heard it first here on The Simpsons.
Oh, I gotta get rid of these guys.
Finally pay it off. Well, at least I got my health.
Alright, moving on to number 3. Imagine having the ability to bring people back to life. Who would you guys bring back? I would bring back so many people. Well, in a Simpsons episode, in the future, Bart Simpson was brought back to life with a quick zap of a gun.
Say, let's bring him back to life by using technology.
Ay, caramba!
And actually, scientists are already working on bringing people back to life. People are cryogenically freezing themselves in the hopes that one day they'll be brought back to life. For example, if some people have cancer and they're losing the battle, they'll try to freeze themselves in time, hoping that in the future when technology comes around, they'll be able to cure them. And then they can be melted down and cured. Organizations are actually charging people as much as $200,000 to have this done. I don't know how I feel about this whole thing and if it's going to be even possible to one day revive the dead, but you know what? It's an interesting thought to think about. Number 2, personalized robots.
With their new love bots. Make me a Bloody Mary, dollface.
No, Selma. Even a robot built only to love you cannot love you. I am leaving with your sister's concudroid.
Imagine your own robot. I honestly think this could be a reality. They can help you with everyday tasks. There would be no more loneliness. Not too long ago, China, they actually just debuted their first AI news anchor, and it's just incredible. It's scary though. The future seems to be closer than we think. Take a look at this.
Hello, everyone. I'm an English artificial intelligence anchor. This is my very first day in Xinhua News Agency. My voice and appearance are modeled on Zhang Zhao, a real anchor with Xinhua. The development of the media industry calls for continuous innovation.
Is this real life right now? How is that a robot? It's just too real. It's pretty scary when you think about it. And didn't we just have a robot last year become the first ever robot citizen of Saudi Arabia?
So, hold on. Can you solve this puzzle for us? Can robots be self-aware, conscious, and know they're robots?
Well, let me ask you this back. How do you know you were human?
Finally, at number 1, superpowers. Imagine science figured out a way to give everyone superpowers. Well, maybe not the criminals. I would probably pass on them. But how awesome would this be?
The radioactive explosion gave us the power to move things with our intellect.
Flowers for the lady? Bart, what powers did your brain give you?
Just imagine the Harry Potter movie being real. I don't think everyone having superpowers would be good, but what if a selection of people who were highly trained enough, well, they were the ones that were allowed to have superpowers to fight justice. They would be called superhero crime fighters. Having superpowers could save millions of lives, but given in the wrong hands, it might destroy millions of lives. So maybe we gotta rethink that one.
Starting off this countdown, we have the trucker convoy. Recently, here in Canada, truckers are protesting around Parliament Hill against COVID-19 mandates. A convoy of big rigs are in Ottawa, blocking off streets and access to the Parliament. And it seems like The Simpsons might have predicted this. In Season 10's Episode 17, Homer and Bart go on a cross-country journey as truck drivers. While doing so, they encounter truck convoys. And then, the trucks attempt to run them off the road before blocking the road completely. In fact, when Homer first spots the trucks, he says to Bart, "Look, son, it's one of nature's most beautiful sights, the convoy." This episode aired in 1999. Now, what's actually funny is someone edited a clip from another Simpsons episode with this one. The episode was from Doe, Canada. In the clip, we see Trudeau escaping his office while the convoy heads towards him. Now that part is fake, like I said, they edited 2 clips together, it's hilarious, but still, many people think that The Simpsons predicted this whole trucker protest situation. In our 9th spot, we have the large-scale environmental disaster. Scientists have been concerned for a while now about the state of our Earth. Due to climate change and global warming, we are going to be experiencing more drastic, severe, and unpredictable weather, like floods, droughts, hurricanes, and wildfires, etc. We're at a point of no return, and in a couple of years, Earth might be completely destroyed. The Simpsons movie talks about a massive environmental disaster that basically leads to the destruction of Springfield, or almost destruction of Springfield. The disaster is caused by Homer dumping a silo of pig feces into an already polluted Springfield lake. And as we all know, pollution is a huge problem worldwide. It's causing our air to become toxic and unbreathable in some places. In other places, it's polluting water supply and soil and contaminating crops. So The Simpsons might have been onto something with that movie. In our 8th spot, we have the colonization of Mars. This year might have been the year in which we colonize Mars. In season 27, episode 16, titled Margian Chronicles, Lisa signs up to be part of a mission to colonize Mars. As a result, she ends up on Mars with Marge. In the Simpsons episode, I believe it takes place in the year 2026, but Elon and his team at SpaceX have been trying to develop cargo ships leaving for Mars in 2022. So it certainly will be the start of the colonization of Mars. In fact, by 2050, he wants to send 1 million people to Mars. How wild is that? Would you sign up to go to Mars though? Let me know in the comments below. I personally would not, okay? I like it here. Moving on to number 7, we have the Bigfoot. Do you believe in the Bigfoot? I mean, over the years, a number of people have claimed to have encounters with it, so maybe it is real. But most of the population thinks it's all just a hoax. According to The Simpsons though, this year we might find out more information on this furry beast. So there's 2 episodes I'm going to refer to here. In one episode, Homer is on a camping trip and ends up looking like Bigfoot after falling into some mud. He's then captured by scientists for observation. They think they finally found this mysterious beast. Then in an episode from 2002 titled The Bart Wants What It Wants, Bart encounters Bigfoot while exiting a bus in Canada. Why does The Simpsons keep hinting at the Bigfoot? Do they know something that we don't know? In our 6th spot, we have the NFTs. NFTs are all the rage lately, and I'm not gonna lie, I still don't completely understand them. All I know is that people are buying these images of apes wearing different outfits, and they're called the Bored Apes. Surely you all have seen it by now and know what I'm talking about. Well, take a look at this image of Lisa Simpson and tell me that it doesn't look like it could be part of someone's collection of NFTs. This image alone has people thinking that The Simpsons predicted the rise of NFTs. But let me know your thoughts. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the cryptocurrency. Alongside NFTs, the other thing on the rise is crypto, and another thing that I once again know nothing about. But in an episode from 1997, The Simpsons made a reference to it. So this is from season 8, and the episode is titled My Sister, My Sitter. In the episode, there's a scene where we see Homer and Marge on a date outside. In the background, we see a crypto barn. It's literally called Crypto Barn, with the slogan, "A place for codes." Coincidence? Maybe, but why did they have that in the episode? And it's a place where you can buy codes. It's a little weird. The Simpsons video game Tapped Out also mentions this place. In fact, this property is the most expensive place in the game, with a price tag of $81,000 US. I don't know, the whole thing is just so wild to me. Moving on to number 4, we have mind control music. Now there's a reason why us humans feel so connected to music. Certain sounds have the ability to comfort us, irritate us, make us happy, make us sad. And it might just be that they will eventually control us completely. First off, let's take a look at an episode from 2001 called New Kids on the Blech, or Blech, I don't know how to pronounce it, BLECCH. In the episode, we see Bart in a new band with his friends, but the band was using a secret mind control device for the Navy. So their music is actually a psychological operation that is used to send children subliminal messages and control their mind. So people believe that in the future, songs will be used to control us. Some people believe it's already begun. Like back in the day, there was that whole case of 2 people shooting themselves after listening to the song Better by You, Better Than Me. One of the men survived, revealed that while listening to the song, they heard what sounded like "Let's be dead," and then it just kept chanting do it over and over again. So it persuaded them into taking their own lives. So there might possibly be a rise in hidden messages in songs in an attempt to control us. Moving on to number 3, we have World War III. Now, I really hope this prediction doesn't come true this year or at all. But according to The Simpsons, it might. In the 1995 episode titled Lisa's Wedding, we dive 15 years into the future. From there, we see what life is like in the future. Now, in the episode, we see Homer and Lisa's fiance, Hugh, drinking at Moe's bar. During the scene, a very weird exchange goes on between Moe and Hugh, suggesting that there was a third world war. And with the whole Ukraine-Russia situation going on right now, this prediction has me spooked. Moving on to number 2, we have robots turning against humans, aka the robot takeover. There are so many movies out there that have showed us what happens when we give robots too much autonomy. But still, scientists are determined to make super powerful, smart, and independent robots, which is definitely not smart at all. Soon robots are going to become way smarter. In fact, most of them already are, but then they can just be like, hey, I don't want to be under your control anymore, and then they can just start attacking us. Anyways, The Simpsons predicted that a robot takeover will happen. In fact, they hinted at this multiple times in different episodes. One of them being the episode titled Itchy and Scratchy Land, which was episode 4 in season 6. In this episode, large animatronic robots go haywire and cause mass destruction. They basically turn into killing machines, threatening the Simpsons' lives. Then there's this episode titled Them Robots, which is the 17th episode of season 23. And in this episode, Mr. Burns replaces all of the power plant workers with robots. But then this goes terribly wrong and the robots start to turn on the community. So The Simpsons not only predicted that robots will take over our jobs, but also that they'll turn against us and try to wipe out the human race. How fun! Let's just hope that this prediction doesn't come true this year or at all. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the metaverse. The metaverse is defined as a simulated environment that uses augmented reality, virtual reality, and blockchain. In this world, it mimics the real world, and in it you can interact, socialize, work, game, and experience other things that you would normally do in the real world. And guess who predicted this in an episode from over a decade ago? The Simpsons. In the episode, we see the characters attach a cord to themselves and then disappear into a different reality. In this other reality, they have features like a place that you can go gamble and a virtual friends list where you can add or reject people, kind of like Facebook, adding or rejecting friend requests. It's eerily similar as to what Mark Zuckerberg has planned, but The Simpsons came up with it first, so Marky Mark is a little thief. Just kidding. Alright guys, that's all for today's video, but let me know in the comments below. Do you prefer Simpsons or Family Guy? Or Futurama? Oh my god, I love Futurama. Anyways, let me know. And now, speaking of comments, let's move on to our comment shoutout portion. I'll be shouting out comments from the video Top 10 Bizarre Glitches in the Matrix You Weren't Meant to See, Part 3. Oh, that rhymed. You weren't meant to see, Part 3. Lily Gibson commented, I actually went to high school with one of my doppelgangers. We could fool people into believing that we were twins. We even got listed as twins in a cheer competition flyer thing. We weren't related and we don't look the same anymore, but it was a bit eerie. That is a bit eerie, but then you grew out of it, so you're not really doppelgangers anymore, so I don't think that counts. I've always wanted to know who my doppelganger is. Let me know in the comments below. I get Sophie Turner a lot. I don't see it. She's absolutely gorgeous. Thank you. I don't see it. Joe Jonas though? Hi. Alex McNoya Biz, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, commented, I love Lindsay's commentary, can't get enough of you, girl. Keep up the awesomeness. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Lisa Connolly commented, loving your words of comfort for everyone to stay strong. You're golden, girl. Yeah, honestly, it's a hard time. I'm feeling it. People are like, how are you always putting up a good front? I'm like, I'm not, I'm suffering. But yeah, I just want everyone to stay strong, enjoy themselves. If you guys can use these videos to distract yourselves from what's going on, then do it. I'm just here to entertain you, and yeah, I just want everyone to be happy.
Starting us off at number 10, Ivanka 2028. Now, you might remember a certain season 11 episode where The Simpsons accurately predicted the election of Donald Trump a whole 17 years prior to his actual inauguration. But could we be in for another presidential prediction? In 2016, before the initial Trump prediction had ever seen the light of day, it seems like they slyly added in another layer that will have us on edge for the next 6 years, waiting to see if it comes true. The Treehouse of Horror episode begins innocently enough, as Homer takes Bart shopping for a Christmas tree on Halloween, joking with his son that they're shopping because everything in America is way too early. But then, Homer opens up his Bender costume to reveal an Ivanka 2028 badge underneath, saying, "See?" as he giggles to himself in his classic Homer fashion. The scene then cuts, and it's never spoken of again. So what do you think? Will the prediction come true just as it did for Donald? Or will this be simply another silly Simpsons skit? Coming up next at number 9, the death of George Clooney. Now, The Simpsons seem to have predicted many celebrity deaths like Arnold Palmer, Kobe Bryant, and maybe even Queen Elizabeth II. But could they be right about our beloved actor George Clooney too? Now, in this Treehouse of Horror episode, Homer, in an attempt to use images of celebrities in ads without their consent, kills off both Prince and Neil Armstrong, who strangely enough have since passed. George Clooney is the third celebrity he kills by causing him to slip into quicksand on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Now, considering the fate of the first 2 celebs in this episode, it definitely seems a little creepy. Could The Simpsons be predicting that the end is near for Clooney? Let's just cross our fingers and hope that George is here to stay for a long while. Next up at number 8, suppression of green energy. Now, as our technology advances, so do our cars. We already have completely electric cars sweeping the market, and slowly but surely, it seems like we're making great strides towards cleaner energy sources. But are The Simpsons predicting that it could all be going downhill? In the 582nd episode of the series, Lisa invents a car powered by solar energy, something that's actually already starting to be developed in places like MIT. Lisa enters her car into an alternative energy derby race, but right as she's about to cross the finish line, a Duff blimp blocks out the sun, stopping her in her tracks immediately. While this may just seem like a silly coincidence, it wouldn't be out of pocket to think that huge conglomerates could be plotting ways to stop renewable energy sources, sabotaging the uprise of greener sources. Next up at number 7, the end of American civilization. In season 24, while visiting his usual spot, Moe's, Homer runs into a doomsday prepper who warns him of the inevitable social collapse. He goes on to tell him that anarchy lurks around every corner and that it will be the end of civilization, stating that it's coming home to an America near you. Homer responds to the prepper by saying, "America can't collapse, we're as powerful as ancient Rome." The doomsday prepper then goes on to show him a video detailing what he believes to be the inevitable decline of our civilization due to our dependence on the system. Like how if supermarkets close, we starve, or if taps get shut off, we'd be forced to drink the blood of animals? And by the end, has Homer completely convinced. Now, while I can't foresee it all playing out exactly as the video imagines, could The Simpsons be trying to tell us something? Will America as we know it cease to exist? I mean, you can already buy bunkers on the internet, so they wouldn't be the first ones to think so. Coming in at number 6, World War III. This season 6 episode contained many predictions that thankfully have yet to come true. And so I think it goes without saying why we're all praying that the same will be true for their prediction of another world war. Back in this 1995 episode titled Lisa's Wedding, she visits a psychic who sees 15 years into her future, telling her all about what her life will become. Now, I know, 15 years from 1995 was 2010, making it 12 years ago for us, but we still don't want to take our chances with this one. During the episode, Lisa's fiance Hugh goes out to Moe's bar with Homer, where Moe, learning that Hugh is British, snarkily hands him a beer, saying that it was they, meaning the US, US, who saved him during World War II. But Hugh is quick to reply, claiming, yeah, but it was us that saved you in World War III, which Moe admits is true. While I would love to say that this idea seems preposterous, could The Simpsons be right? Are we in store for yet another world war? Let's just hope that they got this one totally wrong. Taking our number 5 spot, no more sunlight. Well, it's no secret we love the modern conveniences of electricity. I think we can all agree that nothing will ever replace that big ball of light in our sky. I don't know if any of you have ever lived in a basement apartment before, but I can tell you from experience that no sunlight in your house makes for a pretty awful time. So I can definitely say that I'm praying this season 7 prediction stays as far away from reality as possible. Mr. Burns, the local nuclear power plant owner of Springfield, decides that in order to fill his pockets, he'll force everyone in the town to use up more electricity by making the sun disappear. He goes on to create a giant plate at the end of a movable arm that completely blocks out the sun from the whole town, forcing the citizens to fully rely on artificial light to help them get around. Now, can I foresee a real-life billionaire pulling this off? Well, maybe not in the way that Mr. Burns decides to black out the sun, but is it impossible to imagine some uber-rich tycoon figuring out some sinister plan to make us all pay more in electricity and keeping natural light a thing of the past? All I can say is I sure hope it never comes true. Coming up at number 4, iRobot? I know we've all had that same nightmare. One day we wake up and the robots that once made our lives easier and better turn on humans, taking over the world and destroying everyone in their path. Well, this 1994 episode predicted a similar fate. While on a trip to visit Itchy and Scratchy Land in season 6, Homer and the family are left fearing for their life when a horde of high-tech robots come to life and wreak havoc, aiming to harm his family. Now, as this was Itchy and Scratchy Land, the robots were programmed to be violent, but a park employee tells them not to worry because the robots have been specifically programmed not to harm humans. Where have we heard that one before? Nothing could go wrong. Well, luckily Homer figures out that a camera flash immobilizes the bots and is able to save his family from their deathly fate. But let's just agree. Keep the robots away because, as we've all learned time and time again, they will get too smart and we will all have to face the consequences. Next up at number 3, music mind control. It's a tale as old as time. It's the music that those young kids are listening to that's pointing them towards the devil's ways. We saw it with Elvis in the 50s, rock and roll bands in the 80s, and rappers in the 90s, where rumor had it that if you played the record backwards, you would hear the devil himself. And though of course all of that was nonsense, what if the government really did figure out a way to control the world's children through music? Well, according to this 2001 episode, it could become a reality. Titled New Kids on the Block, Bart finds himself meeting a music producer who offers him a chance to be a star and join a boy band with his friends Nelson, Ralph, and Milhouse. But it's not all as innocent as it seems when their single Drop Da Bomb is released and the line "Even et Neoj" is in the chorus. Well, of course, Lisa is quick to dive into this peculiar situation and realizes it's backwards for join the Navy. She is quick to confront this so-called manager of Bart only to find out that he's a Navy lieutenant and tells her that for a long time popular music has been used as a recruiting tool by the military. I don't know about you, but this one seems eerily possible, so I'm just definitely crossing my fingers that we don't see this happening. Coming in at number 2 is the zombie apocalypse. For as long as I can remember, zombies have been a huge part of pop culture, so it's no surprise The Simpsons seem to have a prediction about them too. In a 2009 Treehouse of Horror episode, the local burger joint Krusty Burgers releases a new menu item coined by the Krusty Clown as Burger Squared. All he does is take grade A beef cows, kill them, and then feed their meat to more cows. The second cows get turned into the burgers, and voila, a new masterpiece hits the town of Springfield. Well, until it starts turning the whole town into zombies, or as they call them, munchers, terrorizing the town and taking down everything in their path. While it seems far-fetched, could The Simpsons be onto something here? Could some strange, genetically modified meat be the cause of our societal collapse? And lastly, in our number 1 spot is the reanimation machine. While we are always suspecting an episode with Sideshow Bob to give us the heebie-jeebies to some extent, it really kicks it into high gear when he's on a Halloween special. Once again, in this Treehouse of Horror episode titled Wanted, Dead or Alive, Bob finally kills Bart just as he's been trying to do for years. But it's not just that. It's much, much worse. He doesn't just kill Bart once. Oh no. He kills him over and over and over again. With the help of his so-called reanimation machine, Bob is able to revive Bart, making it possible to kill him repeatedly in different ways and as many times as he likes. Well, to me, the science seems pretty impossible on this one. Can you imagine if such a machine was actually invented? If it got into the wrong hands, it could be detrimental to humanity and cause an insane amount of harm. So let's just hope that this one stays on the screen and far, far away from our lives.
Kicking off the list at number 10. VR. The Simpsons didn't predict VR at all. That was a concept that's been around for a long time. It's just now getting good. I mean, recently I got an Oculus, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I felt sick when I tried to use it. I almost threw up. You have to throw items at bad guys. I actually get anxious. My heart races. Olivia straight up cried when she tried it. It's a whole process. This is pretty powerful technology, like this is Black Mirror stuff. The Simpsons predicted that VR could possibly go wrong back in 2016. The episode titled Friends and Family has the town excited over this new tech that's finally arrived, and they're so into it that eventually people are walking in the streets wearing these goggles. They're getting hit by cars, they're losing touch with reality. We see disconnection from reality all the time. We saw it in WALL-E. With Facebook going the virtual route recently with the introduction of the metaverse, I believe that The Simpsons undermined the dangers for this one. You thought pop-ups and sketchy links were bad for children on Facebook? Well, soon we're gonna be walking into this actual virtual website. $3 billion worth of VR was sold during the pandemic. Connection during times like these, I mean, that's great and all, but how far can we really go? Number 9. Mars life. Let me ask you lovely people a question, truly. If you could go to Mars right now with like 3 of your friends, would you actually go? Keep in mind, it's really boring obviously, and unless you're an astronaut, botanist like Matt Damon, odds are you'd probably have a rough go once you did arrive. But in the future, sure, maybe it'll be a round trip, easy. Going to Mars might be as simple as going to the mall. The Simpsons showed a family visit to the Big Red Planet come 2051, but honestly, I think we'll get there a lot sooner. SpaceX is already planning to send people out there. It's crazy, it's happening so fast. It's just a quick 9-month trip there, so make sure your phone's charged. And also you gotta watch out for the galactic cosmic rays. It's actually more beneficial for the team to travel during the peak times around 2030 and 2050 because trips to the planet will be shorter, for one, which is great, and they'll also coincide with periods of solar maximum. So while this one may not come true in 2022, let me tell you, it's definitely around the corner. Number 8, robots. We're at a point now where robots can straight up do parkour. Boston Dynamics is trending every other week. Half the time I can't even tell if their videos are real or if they're CGI. The robots are too impressive. Also, the fact that I'm saying the robots, like where are we right now? What's going on? The Simpsons have touched on robots taking over. That was an idea that's been done a few times. In 2012, they predicted that a great amount of jobs would be lost to the robots. But back in 1994, the Simpsons episode titled Itchy and Scratchy Land showed a theme park full of robots that go crazy and attack civilians. Also, we have Sophia the robot now. She's actually been on talk shows. It's like a real person. She has a citizenship. She's the first robot to receive citizenship from a country. Saudi Arabian citizen. She's a robot. This is real life. She was also on the CNBC saying that she wanted to destroy humans at one point. So that's neat. This could slowly be underway. I mean, I hope not. iRobot is literally one of my biggest fears. The movie predicted self-driving cars. That's all I'm saying.
How can I be of service, Detective Spooner?
Number 7, Dome Sweet Dome. For this one, we're looking at the Simpsons movie, which definitely still holds up. If you haven't seen it, check it out after this video. That's a fun time. But with the pandemic seeming to never end, could we possibly see our own towns domed up? This idea came long before the Simpsons movie. Back in the 70s, there were talks about putting a dome over Manhattan, this 3-kilometer dome over Midtown that regulates weather and pollution. It sounds fun, but imagine if that actually had been built. Imagine what we have been doing with it now during the initial COVID outbreak. It would have been madness. People would have been storming it like a castle. And then in 2010, there was a city planned that was supposed to be built in 2020. It was called Eco City. It was supposed to be built in the Mir mine in Siberia. It was announced in 2014 officially. This climate-controlled dome city, 4.5 square kilometers, but since 2016, the project lost the dome. What do you guys think? Should we use domes over cities, lose the umbrella, and just live in a big glass ball forever? Honestly, I would do it. I'm tired of walking in puddles. Number 6, the World Cup. An episode from 1997 called The Cartridge Family shows Mexico and Portugal going head-to-head in football. Like soccer football, not like football, like a football thing. You got it. Springfield residents are told to go see this match to determine which nation is the greatest on earth, Mexico or Portugal. So in 2018, when the World Cup rolled around, pun intended, fans were excited that this was actually coming true. But at the same time, they had to laugh, determining that Ronaldo must have missed that penalty intentionally so that the prediction would come true. Although I think that was just a mistake. But recently it's been announced that Qatar will host the tournament in November, December 2022, rather than the usual June, July dates. Another World Cup, another chance for the Simpsons to add another prediction to their impressive list. Number 5, flying cars. We've been talking about flying cars for so long, I wouldn't even call this a Simpsons prediction anymore, but they've nailed it before, so who knows. 2022 could be the year we say goodbye to tires forever. In 2005, Professor Fink created this machine to let Bart and Lisa see the future. The future at that point was 2013, which is long since passed, but Marge had left Homer because he spent all their savings on an underwater house. But also in this episode, we see hover cars. Come 2017, the concept of a futuristic hover car was revealed. It's called Float, the Renault car of the future. So come 2022, we might not see these exactly, but we might get an even cooler version. We might get this 6-person hover car. That's like something that Fantastic Four rolls around with. Are you kidding me? It's called the cyclocar. I'm absolutely going to get my license just for this. Number 4, music control. You ever listen to an album and it's so good that it moves you? Sometimes it'll literally move you, right? You have to go and bop around in the kitchen for a bit, get all those beats out. But what if music moved you in like a Pied Piper kind of way? What if next time you heard the cha-cha slide at a wedding, you had to do the cha-cha slide? In 2001, an episode called New Kids on the Bleak showed Bart in a band that was secretly a mind control device for the Navy. Subliminal messaging through music. Love it. One of their most popular tracks was called Drop Da Bomb, so obviously it was a bit more obvious where they're going. But this isn't a new idea either. Many people have thought that hip-hop brainwashes people. Even The Game, like the artist The Game, believes that the internet is brainwashing people into enjoying whack music, as he says. That's a quote. It's a real-life quote from a real artist. What do we think? Are we slowly being brainwashed through music? I mean, every time I open TikTok, I end up hating another classic that I loved once, so maybe it's just we're seeing it too much? Also, I love how hip-hop is like the center of attention for brainwashing the youth. No, it's literally like, yeah, I got 4 jobs, I make bank, I don't sleep, I work my ass off. Meanwhile, other genres are like, I think he's cheating on me, you should go through his phone. Number 3, VR food. The Simpsons had their 600th episode centered around VR. As I mentioned earlier, it's a pretty big deal. It's a technology that's changing lives, really. And those midnight snacks might get a whole lot better in the future, apparently. I swear to God, one time when I was dozing off watching TV, I tried to eat food that wasn't there. I tried to half asleep and eat food. It was the dumbest thing I've ever done, but could you imagine if a pizza pocket just magically appeared in your hand in the middle of the night? Well, the Simpsons predict that this virtual reality food might just be a thing. Scientists at Cornell University found out that cheese tastes better when you eat it in a certain pleasant VR setting. So if you see me eating shredded cheese at 2 a.m. naked with goggles on in my room, leave me alone, okay? Don't judge me. I'm in Paris. I'm dining out. I'm having a culinary experience. Shut the door on your way out of Paris. Get out of my room. Number 2, digital Big Ben. You ever look at a clock with like, hands and all that jazz, and it takes you a while to actually read it? You're like doing addition, you're like, hey, is that a 2 or a 3? Where's that hand? Why is there 4 hands? Some timepieces need to be digital, right? Middle of the night, you can't see time. You're looking over to see how long you've been asleep for. You can't look at hands and all that jazz. Also, when you go to a wedding, you're not wearing a digital wristwatch, right? You know what I mean? You're not a spy kid. You're not gonna be timing people doing laps. You're trying to look good. You're trying to keep it classy. The Big Ben, I hope, never goes digital, but never say never. In an episode from 1995, the future shows Lisa traveling to England to meet her future husband's parents, and the Big Ben is digital at this point. Now, today, construction is still being done on the Big Ben, and we won't hear its chimes until next summer, but can you imagine when they finally reveal it, instead of a chime, you hear a beep? Imagine every hour you get a notification instead of hearing those lovely bells. I'd lose my mind. And finally, number 1, hologram mail. Coming from season 11, episode 17, Bart to the Future, we get another tease at some future tech. A mailman gives Bart a letter, but it packs quite the punch. Bart opens it up and the letter is, well, it's 4D. It's like a hologram person. It's almost like Star Wars. Honestly, since I saw Star Wars when I was a little tot, I always wanted that technology in my life. That would be amazing. VR food sounds delicious, but hologram mail, that would save lives. I would send so many letters to my friends and family. I'd wear a cloak in all of them too, and I'd be so ominous. And I would never click stop. I would just stand there and walk out of frame. You know what I mean? That's how all the villains do it. If we get virtual mail, that would lead us to virtual packages. No more shipping fees? Oh, can you imagine? But also, no more eagerly awaiting your package that's been delayed for 2 weeks. We can actually use this. This is great. This is the future we've been waiting for.
Number 10, interactive holograms. The season 11 episode Bart to the Future has been one of the most mentioned Simpsons episodes when it comes to predictions. It helps that it takes place in 2030, which at the time I'm recording this is still 8 years away. If YouTube is still around then and you're watching to see if any of these came true, let me know in the comments. I promise that I'll check. The episode most notably correctly predicted that Donald Trump would become president, but there were some other things that have yet to happen that could mean trouble for us in the future. In the beginning of the episode, Bart is watching Itchy and Scratchy, the gory version of Tom and Jerry, but instead of on the TV, he is watching a 3D hologram. Well, these are close to becoming a reality with the likes of Tupac and even Homer himself being shown as holograms on stages. A 3D hologram that is interactive is far from our capabilities right now. The scary part of this is when blood gets sprayed all over the walls of the Simpson home from the cartoon. While the idea of an interactive hologram is cool, in practice I think that it could provide some real nightmare fuel. Before we get to our next entry, hit the like and subscribe buttons if you're enjoying the video so far. Number 9, virtual takeover. I'm a lover of VR. You know, my headset probably gets the most use out of all of my gaming consoles, so I love the idea of VR becoming more immersive, and we're making some huge strides, like haptic technology that allows us to feel things happening in the virtual world, or full body and face capture technology to allow realistic bodies and movement in games. But one thing that is yet to happen that could be on the way is a mass adoption of VR on the scale of what happens in season 28 episode 2, where Mr. Burns discovers VR and the whole town of Springfield is using it to a point of near societal collapse. While virtual reality allows for some amazing things to happen and augmented and mixed reality have some more practical non-gaming applications, it's not out of the realm of possibility for us all to be walking around with some sort of crazy device strapped to our heads in the future that allows us to change the world we see. But the implications of losing touch with reality can be massive, and the episode proves it. So let's hope that if VR takes off like I think it can, that we keep our feet on the ground and in touch with the real world around us, and take the goggles off from time to time, or we'll forget to take care of our actual reality. Number 8, hologram trees. The episode Lisa's Wedding from season 6 takes place in 2010, 15 years from 1995 when the episode was released, and unsurprisingly many of the predictions of the future have yet to come to pass, like Big Ben being replaced with a digital interface. But one that we should definitely not want to happen is the hologram trees that we see. While the thought of being able to switch from coniferous to deciduous at the drop of a hat is pretty fun, if they're just aesthetic, we could be in a world of trouble. Trees filter CO2 from our air and give us back oxygen, which is pretty nice of them. And unless the holograms have some CO2 scrubbing tech to come with them, replacing real ones with projections will have a dramatic impact on our atmosphere. We can already see the beginnings of this with deforestation, so let's focus on our real arborist friends rather than holographic ones. Number 7, Robot Rebellion. Them Robot was the 17th episode of the 23rd season, and in it we see Mr. Burns replacing all of his employees with robots except Homer to save costs. But one seems to be developing a personality when it understands Homer's working hard or hardly working joke. Homer eventually messes with the robots so much that they ignore the laws of robotics and attempt to kill Springfield residents. Obviously this would spell disaster in the real world as it does in the show, and we're moving towards more and more automation in the workplace, allowing humans to work less dangerous jobs and eventually allowing us to hopefully spend more time living life than working our time away. But we are nowhere near that point yet. The Simpsons dabbles with the idea a few times, like in the episode Itchy and Scratchy Land, where the animatronics gain sentience and attack parkgoers, a la Five Nights at Freddy's. AI gaining sentience has been the device of science fiction horror stories for such a long time, but it's becoming closer and closer to a real-life issue. Heck, there's even a robot named Sophia with AI so advanced that she was granted citizenship in Saudi Arabia. I don't want to deal with real-life Cybermen when the Cyberium takes over, so maybe we should slow down on the whole giving robots consciousness thing. Number 6, French fiasco. The French have been an ally to the Western world for the entirety of modern history, but in Treehouse of Horror 8, all of that is thrown out the window when Mayor Quimby makes an apparently offensive frog's legs joke and refuses to apologize, telling them to do their worst. Even Marge joins in on the jabs by saying, "You know how unpredictable the French are. One minute they're kissing a woman's hand, the next they're chopping off her head." Well, the French president didn't take too kindly to this and starts a war by launching a neutron that levels the town, leaving Homer as the last person alive in all of Springfield. And we all know that leaving Homer alone is a terrible idea. Now, it should be painfully obvious why France launching missiles aimed at the US would be something we don't want to happen, but that's not the only scary prediction from this episode. Number 5. Teleportation. In Fly vs. Fly, the second story in this episode, Homer buys a teleportation pod from Professor Frink for 50 cents. A damn good deal if you ask me, but maybe too good to be true, as the rest of the episode shows some of the terrors that could come with this tech. Instantly arriving somewhere else on the Earth after simply stepping into a pod has been a dream of many scientists for centuries, and the practical applications would change society as we know it. And there have been some crazy advancements, like the Chinese scientists who teleported particles to a satellite in space. But in the episode, we get a warning of the dangers that could lie ahead, with reference to the classic science fiction horror, The Fly. We see the loyal Simpson pets, Santa's Little Helper, and Snowball 2 becoming merged together Cronenberg style, and Bart gets the idea to turn into a superhero with the power of flight by merging with the Fly. Clearly he didn't see what happened to Jeff Goldblum, but life finds a way, and Bart and the Fly switch heads when their DNA is merged together, leading to the horror show of what the family has to deal with. I don't know about you, but I don't plan on mixing my DNA with any other creatures, so until that's sorted out, I'll stick with the TARDIS. Number 4. Colonization of Mars. Season 27, episode 16, has the Simpsons signing up to be some of the first colonizers of the Red Planet, albeit somewhat unwillingly. And eventually their trip turns out to be a scam perpetrated by the scientists, whose rocket fails to start, and when they try to flee the scene, their car can't start either. But at the end of the episode, we get a time jump to 2051 and see them actually living on Mars, though Lisa now wants to leave and move to Venus, which would be an absolutely horrible idea. Though the idea of Mars colonization is thrown around all the time these days, the thought that we may have to use it as a necessity when we finish destroying this planet is not a future I look forward to. But I mean, I'd probably go. Would you? Number 3. The dome. The main plot device in the Simpsons movie comes in the form of a giant dome encapsulating the entire town of Springfield after pollution has led to mutations in local wildlife, and not just the three-eyed fish near the nuclear plant. Stephen King actually released his novel turned TV series Under the Dome in 2009, 2 years after the Simpsons movie debut. Another prediction, perhaps? While the idea is incredibly silly, we have seen in the past few years that quarantine can become a reality for us, albeit without the impenetrable dome, but who knows, maybe in the future this could become a real thing to stop environmental disasters from getting out of hand, like catching a hurricane in a bottle or something. Ridiculous, I know, but let's just hope we never have to use it. Number 2. Time travel. People assume that time is a strict progression from cause to effect, but actually from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. And the Simpsons have dabbled with time travel many times over their 34 seasons, but in Treehouse of Horror 5, we get a glimpse of what is commonly known as the butterfly effect. I know Ashton Kutcher's ears just pricked up when I said that. Time travel could have insane implications on the human race, but there are multiple theories on how it would work. Maybe if you went to the past, you would create an entirely new timeline where things are different, or maybe nothing is able to be changed at all because time is constant and what has happened has always happened. But in the episode, we see that Homer's small changes in the past with his time-traveling toaster bring massive consequences forward, like Flanders ruling the world, people becoming giants, and even the world having no knowledge of donuts. So, if time travel becomes a reality, and maybe it already has in the future, we need to be careful not to mess with anything, or we risk losing everything. And finally, we reach our number 1, mini black hole. In Treehouse of Horror 23, the town of Springfield begrudgingly builds a particle reactor instead of a baseball stadium and creates a tiny black hole, which swallows up a few residents before Lisa can move it to her basement for safekeeping. After she warns the family to not throw anything into it, lest it grow bigger, they do exactly that, and it becomes massive and swallows everything in its path, taking the townsfolk to an alternate dimension where aliens worship the trash they disposed of in the hole. Black holes are scary enough on their own, let alone what would happen if one was to pop up on Earth, already surrounded by matter it could consume. So hopefully this prediction never happens, or we wouldn't know what hit us until we were spaghettified, which is an actual scientific term describing what would happen if you fell into a black hole. You would be stretched infinitely thin as you were pulled across the event horizon, and since time is affected by gravity, it would last an infinite amount of time. Spaghettification, your new word of the week.
Kicking off the list at number 10, a friendly spokesperson. Back in 2007, The Simpsons hit the big screen. We had to pay movie admission prices to see the Spider Pig bit, which, more than fair, that's a great bit. We're still talking about it. It's good stuff. The Simpsons movie was full of celebrity cameos, obviously. I mean, it starts off with Green Day. The band Green Day is animated and they play in this movie. How fun. Tom Hanks also makes an appearance, which is always fun. He just shows up and says, "Hi, I'm Tom Hanks." One of the most memorable lines in the movie, oddly. But Mr. Hanks continues this bit by saying the US government has lost its credibility, so now it's borrowing some of his. Funny line, but cut to 2022, Tom Hanks still looks great, ages like fine wine, of course, but now he's a real-life spokesperson for the US government. This time around, he's not animated, and he's supporting the Biden administration. Good thing it's not Chet Hanks, or else it'd be a little bit different. Number 9. Billionaires in space. I think we can all agree that it's a little annoying when billionaires just, float around in space for an hour. I don't want to see you breakdance for a bit, Richard Branson. I'm good, I'm all set. I don't want to stir up a political debate thing here or whatever, but I'm working to pay off my student loans and billionaires are leisurely floating around in the cosmos, just because they can. When will it be enough? When is being rich on our planet going to be enough? The Simpsons predicted Richard Branson's space excursion back in season 25, in the episode titled The War of Art. That was back in 2014, and recently Richard Branson blasted off planet to float around Virgin Airlines for a bit, just because he could. Just felt like it. He was like, yeah, debit. And right now, NASA and Tom Cruise are partnering up to make movies in space. The next Mission Impossible is going to be in space for some reason. That's awesome. I can't wait to see the trailer. What about my student loans though? I'll buy a ticket once I pay my loans off. Now we're talking. Number 8, music control. I honestly can't wait for future technology when it comes to music. I'm a sucker for good headphones. I love it. Adele 30. I'm cranking that album my entire commute. So good. Sometimes you hear an album that moves you, but what if the music literally moved you? What if in the future music could control your thoughts? Scary stuff, right? In a 2001 episode titled New Kids on the Block, this episode showed Bart in a band that was secretly doubling down as a mind control device for the Navy. Subliminal messages through music, we've heard of this before, of course. Stairway to Heaven played backwards is a thing, apparently. In Spy Kids, the Floops, they were calling for help backwards via music. He's like, Floop is a madman, help us, save us. It's been stuck in my head for 20 years. This idea has spooked young Taylor a few times, so obviously I had to share. Is this a possibility in the future? Hip-hop artist The Game, right now, he believes that the internet is brainwashing people into liking whack music. Yeah, it's not always military messages and all that, could be just whack music, but never say never. Could we see the day the military sends out subliminal messages? Maybe Dawn to 3, hashtag Dawn to 3, hashtag join the Navy, I don't know. Number 7, virtual reality. While working from home, I obviously got an Oculus. I got my first VR set, and let me tell you, I've never felt more sick in my life. Oh my gosh. Virtual reality is great and it's getting better and better, but how much further can we get? How is this gonna affect us in the future? Will the metaverse be a new hangout spot instead of going outside? I'm kind of on board with this. In the Simpsons episode back in 2016 titled Friends and Family, a new virtual reality headset arrives to Springfield, and it's good. It's really good. It's so good, residents can't keep their eyes off it. They're walking around in the streets while wearing headsets. Cars are swerving around people wearing their own headsets. Everybody's in their own virtual worlds, but in real time, it's chaos. This is the near future, according to The Simpsons. Honestly, I'm here for it. I'll play anybody in Beat Saber. Good game. Better stay out of my way, honestly. I'm like Darth Maul when it comes to Beat Saber. Wild. Guitar Hero I couldn't figure out. Beat Saber though? Number 6, holograms. Ever since I saw Star Wars, I've wanted holograms. I wanted hologram mail since I was 7 years old. Like in Star Wars, just how cool would that be to appear in my brother's room out of nowhere via hologram? Father wishes to speak with you. What a dream that would be. The Simpsons predicted this would move into our daily lives come season 11, episode 17, appropriately titled Bart to the Future. Hologram mail, I mean, that sounds convenient, but what does chainmail look like in this world? It's kind of scary. How scary are pop-ups? Middle of a movie out of nowhere, it's like, hey, do you want a bigger? You won't last 5 seconds. I'm like, get out of here. Digital Domain was the company responsible for the Tupac hologram at Coachella back in 2012. Holotronica, another company, did the impossible at the Grammys in 2017. They made multiple Beyoncés perform at the same time. Yeah, I don't think we can handle more than one, to be honest. We flew too close to the sun with that one. I can't wait until holograms become a thing, honestly. I hope this happens. I can't wait to tell you to smash that like button in your living room. I'm like, yeah, hit that thumbs up, guys. Also, where's the bathroom? Number 5, Ivanka 2028. The Simpsons predicting Trump's presidency is pretty wild, I'll admit. I looked into that and I was like, really? How did this even happen? So this next one, honestly, Who knows? Out of everything on this list, this one seems the most likely. I mean, yeah, better than hologram mail. Probably this will happen first. The Simpsons may have predicted another Trump presidency. This one comes from season 28, episode 4, Treehouse of Horror 27, so it's kind of funny. The episode originally aired on October 16th, 2016, and opens with Bart asking Homer why he's taking the family Christmas tree shopping on Halloween. And Homer replies, because in America, everything's way too early, revealing a pin that says Ivanka 2028. Number 4, Big Ben. You ever look at a clock with hands and it takes you like 7 seconds to really figure out what time it is? I can't do it. Sometimes you need a timepiece that's digital, you know, middle of the night, you can't see, you're having a nightmare, you look over. Digital is the way to go. You go to a wedding though, you're not wearing a digital watch. That's, you know, you're not doing laps on the dance floor. You're gonna try and look a little classy, wear some hands. The Big Ben, I hope, never goes digital. But the Simpsons are telling us this may be the case down the road. I don't know. Sad, right? I've only been to England once and I was so pumped to see the Big Ben in person, and I get there and I legit had no idea where it was. I felt so stupid. I felt like I got off at the wrong stop. I was like, where is this thing? It was underneath the scaffolding, right in front of me the whole time. In an episode from 1995, the future sees Lisa traveling to England, as did I, to meet her future husband's parents. And the Big Ben is digital in this future. Imagine every hour, instead of hearing a bell, you heard a notification bell instead. God, I'd be so stressed out. Every hour, everyone in London's like, you? Is it? What time is it? Number 3, robots. Sometimes I'll be watching TV, minding my own business, whatever, and then Alexa will come out of nowhere and be like, sorry, I didn't quite get that. Just out of the blue, so alarming, didn't ask anything. Is she always listening? How are we okay with this? Combine that with what's going on over at Boston Dynamics. I don't know, we have an apocalypse coming very soon. I've seen iRobot, we're screwed. We're setting up a Black Mirror episode, honestly. We're at a point now where robots can straight up do parkour. Boston Dynamics is trending every other week. I thought those videos of robots doing parkour, rolling around, I thought those were fake. No, we're that close. We're that good with robots now. They can squat and they can dance. Robots can dance now. Are you kidding me? The Simpsons have touched on robots taking over a few times, actually. In 2012, they predicted that a great amount of jobs would be lost to robots, which it's definitely happening right now. Even back in 1994, the Simpsons episode titled Itchy and Scratchy Land showed a theme park full of robots that go crazy and then end up attacking civilians. Hope that doesn't happen. But again, Boston Dynamics is like, hey, check it out, this one can do a flip. Sophia the robot, she's been on talk shows, she's a fun time. She's actually the first robot to receive citizenship from any country. So could this slowly be underway? Could robots slowly becoming normal things in our lives? What if they snap? I'm so scared. I hope not. iRobot predicted self-driving cars, so they're onto something as well. I'm so scared. Number 2, Mars. In the future, going to Mars might be as simple as going to the mall, only the commute is really, really long and boring. And you also can't come back until the planet swings back near Earth, so good luck. Hope your phone's charged. Cheers. One episode of The Simpsons shows the family visit the big red planet come 2051. But honestly, I feel like we're gonna get there a lot sooner. SpaceX is already planning to send people out there right now, and it's a quick 9-month trip there, so, you know, it's, again, boring. Make sure your things are charged. Also, watch out for galactic cosmic rays on this trip, because I heard those are a pain. No, you will not become the Fantastic Four. It'll just be all bad. It's actually more beneficial for the team to travel during these peak times in the 2030s and in the 2050s, because trips to the planet will be shorter because of the solar maximum. So in the future, yes. Near future, no. And finally, coming in at number 1, goodbye. A lot of government hologram hidden messages in this list, so let's finish her up on a nice prediction for the future. In season 11, episode 17, called Bart to the Future, a classic, we see a future where goodbyes are no longer needed or said. We stopped shaking hands recently, we got some distance in between us, so what's next? Could we not say goodbye to each other anymore? I'm kind of on board for this. No more awkward goodbyes, what a dream that would be. You ever say bye to somebody and then you have to walk the same way? Or you say bye, then you have to wait at a red light? That's always bad too, that one sneaks up on you. In this bright new future in The Simpsons, everybody says, smell you later. And then they skateboard away. That's perfect, let's go. Small talk and a pop shove it. This is the bright future we've been promised. It's close, I feel it.
Starting off this countdown, we have the Higgs boson particle. In season 10, episode 2 of The Simpsons, Homer becomes inspired by the work of Thomas Edison. As a result, he tries to become an inventor. In one scene, we see Homer scribbling on a chalkboard. At the bottom, it reveals a math equation, which wasn't thought to be anything big, you know, just Homer doing some scribbles. Until more than a decade later, when scientists discovered discovered the Higgs boson particle, otherwise known as the God particle. People then realized Homer's work was a lot like this particle. Like, what kind of sorcery is this? Do they got a team of scientists working for them or something? Seriously, the writers either must be super smart or they have psychic powers. Or both. And at number 9 we have the grease scheme. And if you guys like this video and you want to see more videos from us, then make sure to give this video a big thumbs up because it really helps us out. So in the 1998 episode titled Lord of the Dance, which is from season 10 episode 1, Homer comes up with an idea to steal grease from a bunch of places, like his kid's school cafeteria, and then he sells it to make a quick buck. Well, guess what? People started doing this in real life. In New York, people were going around stealing grease from restaurants. It was so bad that apparently $75 million worth of grease gets stolen each year. Restaurants had to start hiring people to safely remove their grease so that people wouldn't break in and steal it. Sounds absolutely crazy, right? Well, somehow The Simpsons knew that this was going to happen. Or maybe people were influenced by Homer in that episode. Either way, it's pretty creepy. In our 8th spot, we have the outbreak. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty creeped out when I found out that The Simpsons might have predicted COVID-19. Seriously, it's really creepy. So in the 1993 episode titled Marge in Chains, a mysterious virus from Asia plagues the town of Springfield. In the episode, a sick factory worker coughs into a bunch of boxes that they were shipping out to Springfield. As a result, tons of Springfield residents get sick with this flu. The flu spreads quickly throughout the town, and soon a number of residents become ill. On top of that, the doctor says the best way to combat the flu is to stay at home. Okay, that's pretty creepy. Seems an awful lot like what's going on currently. So in 1993, The Simpsons predicted this current outbreak. Not only that, but in the same episode, they had these killer bees. A bunch of townsfolk knock over a crate labeled killer bees when looking for the cure. Well, a couple months ago, we had the scare of murder hornets. So tell me how The Simpsons managed to get 2 predictions right in one episode. Like the same episode. They knew that murder hornets were gonna be a thing at the same time there was an outbreak. It's crazy. Moving on to number 7, we have the tiger attack. In 2003, Roy Horn from the duo Siegfried and Roy was attacked on stage by their white tiger. Thankfully, he survived the attack. But it seems like The Simpsons predicted this 10 years before it even happened. So let's take a look at the 1993 episode titled Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling. What a title. In this episode, we see 2 magicians named Gunter and Ernst. They worked in a casino and had a magic show where they displayed white tigers. Sound familiar? Well, in this episode, while performing a show, the tiger lashes out and attacks both the handlers in front of a crowded audience. So you're telling me that The Simpsons made an episode that's a parody of Siegfried and Roy, and then years later the exact thing happens to them? Yeah, that's some weird voodoo stuff going on there. I don't like that. And at number 6, we have the three-eyed fish. So in The Simpsons, the three-eyed fish is known as Blinky. It's a mutated fish that gets discovered after Bart fishes it up near the Springfield power plant. This happened in season 2, episode 4, which aired back in 1990. Fast forward to 2011, and there are headlines about an Argentinian man who caught a three-eyed fish while out on a fishing trip with some friends. Turns out that the fish was caught in a reservoir where a power plant pumps hot water from their facility, and clearly the water gets polluted. The fishermen said that it was dark at the time and they didn't really notice the fish, but then when they looked at him with the flashlight, they saw his third eye. How convenient. A three-eyed fish. Just like in The Simpsons. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with 9/11. There are a bunch of cartoon shows that have been thought to have predicted the tragedy that occurred on September 11th, 2001. One of them being Johnny Bravo. The other one, of course, being The Simpsons. In a 1997 episode titled New York City Against Homer, we see Lisa hold up a magazine. The camera punches in on it and it reads New York, $9 a day. Behind the $9, it appears to be the Twin Towers. The way that everything is formatted, it looks like it says 9/11. At this point, I don't even know what to believe. Moving on, number 4, we have Capitol Hill. Of course, you all know by now that on January 6th of this year, an angry mob of President Trump supporters stormed Capitol Hill. Well, turns out that The Simpsons may have warned us that this would happen. For this, let's take a look at the 1996 episode titled The Day the Violence Died. This episode was meant to be a parody of the 1976 Schoolhouse Rock segment, I'm Just a Bill. The Simpsons version was I'm an amendment to be. In the episode when the amendment is ratified, the character says, "Doors open, boys," and then a bunch of amendment or bill looking characters start storming up the steps of the Capitol Hill building. Some have then linked this scene to what happened at Capitol Hill on January 6th. So I don't get how they do it, but they do. Like, what magical powers do they have? Do they have a crystal ball or something? Let me know. Coming in at number 3, we have advanced technology. So somehow The Simpsons knew how technology was going to be like for us in the future. A lot of these predictions were made in the 1995 episode titled Lisa's Wedding. In this episode, Lisa visits a psychic that shows her what her future is like. And in one scene, we see Lisa's husband Hugh talking to a watch, which then literally turns into a phone. Sound familiar? Watch that you can use as a phone? Yeah, an Apple Watch. In this episode, they also predicted FaceTime, since there's a scene where we see Lisa talking to her family on what looks like a FaceTime call or a video chat or whatever, I don't know. Again, this was done back in 1995, and the Apple Watch came out in around 2014. So The Simpsons are just always ahead of the game. Coming in at number 2, we have the NSA spying scandal. In 2013, a former contractor for the CIA, Edward Snowden, revealed that the US National Security Agency, the NSA, was collecting phone records of millions of Americans. Dun, dun, dun. So they were spying on us. Well, not me, I'm Canadian. But they were spying on people through their phone calls, and they probably still are. But anyways, in the 2007 Simpsons movie, they literally predicted that this would happen. So in the movie, the Simpsons family flee Springfield and are hiding from the EPA. Well, in one scene, Marge warns her family to be careful because people could be listening in on their conversations. Then it cuts to a room filled with NSA agents listening in on a bunch of people's calls. It's like they knew from the beginning we were being spied on by the government. I mean, we all had our suspicions, but the Simpsons actually said it out loud, and they were correct. I'm starting to think that they have insider info. And in our number 1 spot, we have the horse meat scandal. Okay, all of the predictions so far are pretty creepy, but this one goes beyond that. So in 2013, the horse meat scandal was a huge food industry scandal in which foods declared as 100% beef were found to have horse meat mixed in with it, along with some other animals. Countries such as France, Iceland, England, Russia, Ireland, and Sweden were affected by this scandal. And as gross as it is, The Simpsons predicted it. So this was predicted in an episode back in 1994 in which lunch lady Doris is feeding kids mystery meat. More specifically, in season 5, episode 19, Doris serves the kids from a large container, reading assorted horse meat. And guess what? Kids' lunches were affected by this horse meat scandal. So, what are the odds? Like, honestly, Simpsons, you can tell me that it was meant to be a joke, but I don't know. This one is pretty weird. I honestly think that that was a warning for us.